Think about that pill you swallowed this morning. You took it to feel better, right? But what if that same colorful capsule is actually a silent death sentence for your kidneys? We become a pill-first society, blindly trusting labels while our internal filters grow dangerously fragile with age. It's a painful paradox. The very medicine prescribed to save you might be the one pushing you toward dialysis. Today, we're stripping away that naive trust. We'll expose 7 common medications that could be destroying your kidneys right now without you feeling a single thing. Before we go any further, I want to take a moment to talk about where this information actually comes from. We live in an era where digital noise is everywhere, and health advice is often churned out by soulless algorithms and AI tools. But what you are watching right now is different. Every word of this content was researched and written by humans for humans. It is the result of hours of meticulous study and a genuine empathy for the challenges we all face as we age. We don't use AI writing tools like ChatGPT to automatically generate our scripts. Instead, our team pores over clinical data and consults with qualified professionals to ensure that every insight is unbiased, fact-checked, and deeply rooted in medical science. Now, let me be very clear. Our goal is not to scare you into stopping your prescribed medications. Modern medicine is a miracle that has saved and extended countless lives. We are not anti-medicine. We are pro-truth. We believe that true health comes from transparency, not blind obedience. Often, in a busy 5-minute doctor's appointment, the crucial details about long-term kidney health can be overlooked. Our mission is to provide you with those missing pieces. We want to empower you with the knowledge you need to have better, more informed conversations with your healthcare provider. By understanding how these chemicals interact with your body, you are no longer just a patient. You become a partner in your own healing. So, with that promise of transparency, let's look at the first group of medications that might be sitting in your cabinet right now. Let's start with the items we often take for granted, the bottles sitting right there in your medicine cabinet. We call them uninvited guests because while you might have invited them in to fix a sore throat or a nagging headache, they often overstay their welcome in a way that your kidneys never agreed to. First, we need to talk about antibiotics. You know the names: amoxicillin, Cipro, Augmentin, or Bactrim. For decades, we've been conditioned to think of these as the ultimate cure-all. If you have a nasty cough, a sore throat, or a fever, your first instinct might be to ask your doctor for a prescription. But here is the startling reality. According to the CDC and research published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, nearly 1/3 of all antibiotic prescriptions in the United States aren't even appropriate for the condition being treated. Why is this happening? It's often because we try to treat viral infections like the common cold, the flu, or most cases of bronchitis with antibiotics, which are only designed to kill bacteria. When you take an antibiotic, you aren't just wasting money. You are forcing your kidneys to do a dangerous amount of heavy lifting. Think of your kidneys as the ultimate cleaning crew for your blood. Their job is to filter out waste and chemicals. But certain antibiotics, like vancomycin or aminoglycosides, can actually accumulate inside your kidney cells. Imagine a vacuum cleaner trying to suck up something far too large for it. Eventually, the motor starts to smoke and burn out. These drugs can damage the delicate membranes of your kidney cells, causing inflammation and direct injury. In some cases, they can even cause acute tubular necrosis, where the tiny tubes that do the filtering actually begin to die. This is why it is absolutely vital to ask your doctor Is this truly necessary before starting any course of antibiotics? Now, let's move on to something even more common, something you might take several times a week without a second thought. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs. You likely know them better as ibuprofen, aspirin, naproxen, or brands like Advil, Motrin, and Celebrex. Because you can buy most of these at any grocery store or gas station without a prescription, we've developed a naive trust in them. We assume they are as safe as a vitamin, but the numbers tell a different story. Over 30 million people take NSAIDs every single day, often for chronic issues like arthritis or simple muscle strains. At their core, NSAIDs work by blocking an enzyme called cyclooxygenase, or COX. This enzyme is responsible for producing the chemicals that cause pain and swelling. So, when you block COX, your headache goes away. However, COX isn't just a pain enzyme. It is also a protective shield for your kidneys. It helps regulate blood flow to the organ and manages how your body handles sodium and water. When you take an NSAID, especially in high doses or over a long period, you are essentially stripping away that shield. Without the protection of the COX enzyme, the blood vessels in your kidneys can begin to narrow. This reduces the flow of oxygen-rich blood, essentially starving your kidneys. This can lead to fluid retention, high blood pressure, and a condition known as acute kidney injury, or AKI. For a young, healthy person, the kidneys might bounce back, but as we age, or if we are already dealing with minor kidney issues we don't even know about yet, this starvation can lead to permanent scarring. In fact, studies show that using NSAIDs can increase your risk of sudden kidney failure by 26%, especially within the first month of use. Is that temporary relief from a backache worth a lifetime of dialysis? Most of us would say no. But because these drugs are so accessible, we don't realize we're making that trade-off. It's a silent, cumulative poisoning of the very filters that keep us alive. The next time you reach for that bottle of ibuprofen, ask yourself if there is a safer alternative, or at the very least, make sure you are drinking plenty of water to help your kidneys flush those chemicals out. We have to stop treating these potent drugs like candy, because our kidneys are the ones paying the price for our convenience. Now, if you think these everyday pain relievers are the only things to watch out for, the next category might surprise you, because it involves a medication that millions of people take every morning for a completely different part of the body. Let's look at how your stomach and your kidneys are more connected than you think. Now, if you've ever felt that sharp burning sensation in your chest after a heavy meal, you've likely reached for a proton pump inhibitor, or PPI. These are some of the most widely used medications in the world, often available over the counter under brand names like Nexium, Prilosec, or Prevacid. They are incredibly effective at treating acid reflux and GERD by targeting a specific enzyme in your stomach called the proton pump. By shutting down this pump, these drugs drastically reduce the amount of acid your stomach produces, providing almost instant relief from heartburn. But while your stomach feels calm, your kidneys might be under a silent attack. The concern here is a condition called acute interstitial nephritis, or AIN. Think of this as a sudden inflammatory allergic reaction within the spaces between your kidney tubules. The most dangerous part about AIN caused by PPIs is that it is often entirely silent. Unlike a typical allergy that might cause a rash or a fever, drug-induced AIN often shows no outward signs. You might continue taking your daily pill for months or even years, unaware that your kidney function is slowly declining. If left unchecked, this inflammation can lead to permanent scarring and eventually progress to chronic kidney disease. Beyond direct inflammation, there is another often overlooked side effect of long-term PPI use: a dangerous drop in magnesium levels known as hypomagnesemia. Magnesium is a vital mineral that your kidneys need to function correctly and maintain electrolyte balance. When PPIs block acid, they also block your body's ability to absorb magnesium from your food. This deficiency triggers systemic inflammation, which is a primary driver of kidney damage. The data back this up. A massive 2019 study published in the Journal of Pharmacotherapy investigated over 93,000 people. The researchers found that those taking PPIs had a staggering 35 times higher risk of experiencing acute kidney injury compared to those who didn't. In a separate group of 84,000 people, PPI users showed a significantly higher risk of developing chronic kidney disease. This is a classic case of the solution to one problem becoming the source of another. If you have been taking these medications for years, you might feel a sense of worry. But there is a way to protect yourself without necessarily suffering through the pain of acid reflux. We call this the balance ritual, a way to compensate for the toll these drugs take on your system. First, if you are on a long-term PPI prescription, do not just quit cold turkey, as this can cause a massive rebound of stomach acid. Instead, work with your doctor to find the shortest effective dose. Ask if you can switch to a lower dose or use the medication only when symptoms are at their worst. Second, you must actively protect your mineral stores. Since the medication makes it harder to absorb magnesium, you need to flood your system with magnesium-rich foods. Think of dark leafy greens like spinach, seeds, nuts, especially almonds and legumes. These aren't just health foods. They are the raw materials your kidneys use to stay resilient. Third, consider the potassium salt pivot. One of the easiest ways to ease the workload on your kidneys while they are dealing with medication is to reduce your sodium intake and increase your potassium. Potassium helps counteract the strain on your blood vessels and supports overall renal filtration. Finally, insist on regular monitoring. A simple blood test to check your magnesium levels and your estimated glomerular filtration rate, or eGFR, can tell you exactly how your kidneys are responding to the medication. Knowledge is your best defense. You shouldn't have to choose between a healthy stomach and healthy kidneys. By implementing this balance ritual, you can manage your acid reflux while ensuring your internal filters remain strong and efficient. It's about being proactive rather than reactive. But as we move forward, we need to look at a group of medications that were actually designed to protect you, but under the right, or rather the wrong circumstances, they can do the exact opposite. Let's talk about the paradox of blood pressure medications and the hidden risks of staying too dry. Now, we reach a part of our list that might sound completely contradictory. We've been talking about drugs that harm the kidneys, but now we have to discuss two groups of medications that are actually prescribed to protect them: ACE inhibitors and diuretics. It sounds like a paradox, doesn't it? How can the very medicine meant to save your kidneys actually cause them to fail? Let's solve this puzzle together, because understanding this will make you much more confident the next time you look at your lab result. First, let's look at ACE inhibitors. You might know them by names like lisinopril, ramipril, or benazepril. These are often called the gold standard for treating high blood pressure and heart failure. For most people with chronic kidney disease or diabetes, these drugs are heroes. They work by blocking an enzyme that narrows your blood vessels. By relaxing those vessels, they lower your blood pressure and, more importantly, they reduce the internal pressure inside the tiny filters of your kidneys called the glomeruli. But here is the twist. Because ACE inhibitors reduce that internal pressure, they can sometimes cause your eGFR, your estimated glomerular filtration rate, to drop. When patients see their eGFR go down on a blood test, they often panic, thinking their kidney function is worsening. But here is the aha moment. In many cases, a slight drop in eGFR after starting an ACE inhibitor isn't a sign of damage. It's actually a sign that your kidneys are finally relaxing. Think of it like a high-pressure garden hose that has been straining for years. The medication finally turns the faucet down a bit so the hose doesn't burst. This relaxation actually protects the kidneys over the long term. However, and this is a big however, this protective effect can turn dangerous if the pressure drops too low. This usually happens in what doctors call the triple whammy scenario. This occurs when you combine an ACE inhibitor with the two other medications we've already discussed. NSAIDs like ibuprofen, and our next category, diuretics. Diuretics, or water pills like furosemide and hydrochlorothiazide, are designed to help your body get rid of excess salt and water. They are vital for managing swelling and heart failure. But because they flush out fluid, they can easily lead to dehydration. When you are dehydrated, your blood volume drops and your blood pressure falls. Now, imagine your kidneys are trying to filter blood, but they are already relaxed because of the ACE inhibitor, and then suddenly there isn't enough blood volume because of the diuretic. Add an NSAID into the mix, which further narrows the blood flow into the kidney, and you have a perfect storm. The pressure inside the kidney drops so low that the filtration process stops entirely. This is how a protective medication can suddenly trigger acute renal failure. This is especially risky for those with existing heart failure or those who have blockages in the arteries leading to the kidneys. If your eGFR drops by more than 30% after starting these drugs, it's no longer relaxation. It's a warning sign that your dosage needs to be adjusted or the drug needs to be paused. So, how do you stay in the safety zone? It comes down to one word: hydration. If you are taking blood pressure meds or diuretics, you cannot afford to get dehydrated. Whether it's a stomach flu or a hot day working in the garden, losing too much fluid can turn these life-saving pills into a threat. Always keep an eye on your numbers, but don't fear them. Now that you know why your eGFR might fluctuate, you can have a much smarter conversation with your doctor. You can ask, is my eGFR dropping because my kidneys are protected, or am I getting too dry? As we continue, we're going to step away from these daily maintenance pills and look at something that has become much more common in our medicine cabinets since the global pandemic. Let's talk about the hidden toll of fighting off viruses and why some of these treatments require a very delicate balance for your kidneys. In the post-pandemic world, we've become much more familiar with antiviral drugs than ever before. Whether it's for COVID-1, 9, the flu, or chronic conditions like hepatitis or HIV, these medications are our frontline soldiers in the war against invisible invaders. But while they are busy dismantling viruses, they can sometimes leave behind a hidden mess in your kidneys. To understand how this happens, I want you to imagine your kidneys as a precision Swiss watch filled with thousands of microscopic gears and tubes working in perfect harmony. Certain antiviral medications can act like fine grains of sand falling into that delicate machinery. Take remdesivir, for example, a drug that became a household name during the COVID-19 emergency. Remdesivir contains a substance called SBECD, which helps the drug travel through your bloodstream. This substance is cleared almost exclusively by your kidneys. In a healthy body, it's a non-issue. But if your kidneys are already under stress, this substance can accumulate, leading to direct toxicity. Global databases have actually shown a significant spike in acute kidney failure cases associated with remdesivir compared to other viral treatments. It's a stark reminder that even our most advanced medical breakthroughs require a delicate balance. But it's not just about direct toxicity. Some antivirals, like acyclovir, which is used for herpes or the flu, or indinavir, used for HIV, have a very strange property. They can actually crystallize in your urine. Imagine the liquid inside your kidney tubules suddenly forming tiny sharp stones or sand-like particles. These crystals physically block the tubes, stopping the flow of waste and leading to sudden, sharp injury. It's like sand clogging the gears of that Swiss watch. Suddenly, everything grinds to a halt. Other drugs, like tenofovir or cidofovir, can cause acute tubular necrosis, where the toxins directly kill the cells lining your kidney's filtration system. This happens because these drugs often reduce the blood flow to the kidneys while increasing the concentration of toxins in those tiny tubules. So, how do we fight the virus without losing the kidney? First, never, and I mean never, take antiviral drugs without a prescription or from unofficial sources. Second, hydration is your absolute best friend. When you are on these medications, you need to flush your system constantly. By keeping your urine diluted, you prevent those dangerous crystals from forming in the first place. Think of it as rinsing the sand out of the watch before it has a chance to jam the gears. And finally, never skip doses or take them inconsistently. This doesn't just hurt your kidneys, it leads to antiviral resistance, making the virus stronger and the drug less effective. We've looked at how we fight infections, but now we need to look at a category of medicine that deals with something even more complex, the balance of our mind and the protection of our heart. The next two groups of drugs involve millions of users, and they hold one of the biggest hidden risks for kidney health that we've discovered yet. Let's talk about the silent burden of mood stabilizers and the controversial truth about statins. We've talked about physical pain, common infections, and the pressure in your arteries. But now we have to look even deeper into the complex intersection of our heart and our mind. There is a group of medications used to stabilize our moods and another used to protect our hearts. And for many people over the age of 50, these are part of a daily ritual, but for your kidneys, these medications represent some of the most serious yet least discussed risks. Let's start with a medication that has been a lifeline for millions for over 60 years, lithium. You might know it by brand names like Priadel, Camcolit, or Liquid. For those struggling with bipolar disorder or extreme mood swings, lithium is a miracle. It calms the storm in the mind and allows for a stable, productive life. However, while it heals the mind, its long-term impact on the kidneys is something that simply cannot be ignored. Lithium is processed almost entirely by your kidneys. over time, consistent use can lead to a condition known as nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Now, this isn't the typical diabetes you hear about involving blood sugar. In this condition, lithium makes your kidneys deaf to a vital hormone called ADH, which tells your body how much water to keep and how much to flush out. The result? You might find yourself dealing with extreme thirst and making dozens of trips to the bathroom, even in the middle of the night. If this goes unchecked, the kidneys can develop small cysts and eventually permanent scarring. This is why if you are on lithium, you must be your own advocate. You need yearly blood tests to check your creatinine levels, and you must maintain a consistent intake of salt and water. Sudden changes in your diet can cause lithium levels to spike, leading to a dangerous drop in sodium known as hyponatremia. If you ever feel severe confusion, muscle weakness, or a racing heartbeat while on lithium, you need to act immediately. Your mental health is precious, but we must protect the filters that keep your entire body in balance. Now, let's move from the mind to the heart and to a topic that many of you have asked about in the comments. There is a group of drugs that almost everyone over 50 has heard of. Statins. You likely know them as Lipitor or atorvastatin. They are the gold standard for lowering cholesterol and preventing heart attacks. But there is a silent battle happening here that most doctors don't have the time to explain during a routine checkup. Statins are a savior for your arteries, but they can occasionally become an enemy to your kidneys. The mechanism is a rare but severe condition called rhabdomyolysis, or rhabdo for short. Here's how it works. In some people, statins can cause muscle tissue to break down and die. When muscle cells break down, they release a protein called myoglobin into your bloodstream. Imagine your kidneys as a set of very fine, delicate silk filters. Now, imagine trying to pour thick, sticky sludge through those filters. That is what myoglobin does. These protein fragments are far too large for the kidney's tubules to handle. They get stuck, causing a massive clog that triggers inflammation and direct toxicity. How do you know if this is happening to you? It starts with more than just a little soreness from a workout. We're talking about severe unexplained muscle pain, extreme fatigue, and a very specific warning sign. Nurk-tea urine that turns dark, resembling the color of Coca-Cola or strong tea. That is the myoglobin being flushed out. And it is a medical emergency. Does this mean you should stop your Lipitor? Absolutely not. Statins save lives. But it does mean you should be proactive. If you are taking a statin, especially alongside other medications, ask your doctor to check your CK creatine kinase levels during your regular blood work. This simple test can detect muscle breakdown long before it shuts down your kidneys. It is a painful paradox. The very medicine prescribed to save your heart might be the one pushing your kidneys toward failure. But knowledge is your protection. By understanding these risks, you aren't just a passive patient. You are a partner in your own healthcare. You have the right to ask, is my dose correct? And are we monitoring my kidney function closely enough? As we near the end of our list, I want to move away from the science for a moment and speak directly to your heart. Because for many of you watching, this isn't just about data. It's about your life, your family, and your future. Let's talk about what happens when the information comes too late and how you can reclaim your power starting today. We've covered a lot today, and it might feel overwhelming. But protecting your kidneys comes down to a few simple, life-saving actions. First, Make hydration your priority. Water is the fuel that helps your kidneys flush out the chemicals we've discussed. Second, insist on regular checkups. Don't just wonder how your kidneys are doing. Know for sure by tracking your GFR and creatinine levels. Third, be an open book with your doctor. Every pill counts. Ultimately, the best way to protect your kidneys is to need less medication in the first place. A balanced diet and regular movement are your best long-term prescriptions. If this human-led research helped you today, please subscribe and turn on notifications. Your support keeps this life-saving information free for everyone. And if you're ready to take the next step, click the video on your screen right now to discover the 18 everyday habits that are secretly damaging your kidneys. I'll see you there. Stay informed and stay healthy.